So for anybody that has to take anatomy and physiology, like medical students or nursing students or paramedic students, one of the daunting tasks is that they often have to memorize the 12 cranial nerves. And there's certainly no shortage of creative mnemonics out there to help you memorize the 12 cranial nerves, but I figured I would give you a few of my favorite things that help me remember the most important things about them. So to get started pretty quickly, I've written the Roman numerals 1 through 12 here, and if you are not good with Roman numerals, we'll help you along the way. And you might be wondering what this frantic sports fan over here has to do with learning the 12 cranial nerves. But I promise you by the end of this short video, he will help us tie everything together. So to get started, the first cranial nerve is the olfactory nerve. So number 1 is the olfactory nerve. Number 2 is the optic nerve. Number 3 is the oculomotor nerve. Oculomotor nerve. Number 4 is the trochlear nerve. Trochlear nerve. Number 5 is the trigeminal. Number 6 is the abducens. Abducens. Number 7 is the facial nerve. Oops. That should be a number 7, not an F. Number 7 is the facial nerve. Number 8 is the vestibulocochlear. Vestibulocochlear. That's a long one. Number 9 is the glossopharyngeal. Another long one. Glossopharyngeal. Number 10 is the vagus nerve. Number 11 is the accessory nerve. Accessory nerve. And number 12 is the hypoglossal. Hypoglossal nerve. All right, so a mnemonic, let's see if I can scroll up here a little bit. A mnemonic, a nice clean one to help you remember the order of the 12 cranial nerves is O, once, you know what, let me go back. Let me use my normal handwriting. O, once, 1, takes the anatomy final very good vacations are heavenly. So you can see by using the first letters of each one of these words gives you the mnemonic to remember the 12 cranial nerves in order, right? O, 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 T, T, A, F, V, G, V, A, H, right? O, once 1 takes the anatomy final, very good vacations are heavenly. So one of the other things that's important to remember about the 12 cranial nerves is that nerves can either be sensory or motor nerves, or they can be both. So using the letters S for sensory, M for motor, and B for both, we come up with a second mnemonic to remember which nerve is either sensory, motor, or both. So that mnemonic, and we'll write it right beside, is here. We'll do dashes here to separate them. So our second mnemonic for the 12 cranial nerves is some, say, marry, money, but my brother says big brains matter most. So if you use these first letters, you know that's sensory, sensory, motor, motor, both, motor, both, sensory, both, motor, and motor, right? So there's our two mnemonics. So to quickly get through why our frantic sports fan over here is going to help us remember the 12 cranial nerves. If we look at the structures in his face, right? So he's got a nose, he's got ears, he's got eyes and eyebrows, and he's got some tears, and his tongue. He's wearing the number 10 on his jersey right now. I didn't take the time to draw him having arms or legs, but shoulders, as you'll see, are the important part of his drawing. So the first cranial nerve is the olfactory, right? So if we use the number 1 to represent the olfactory nerve, right? So we know that number 1, olfactory, we know olfactory means that it's associated with the nose, right? So there's the number 1. Number 2 is the optic nerve, which is one of the nerves for vision, right? So if the number 1 is going to represent our nose, let's say the numbers 2 are going to be our eyes, right? So we've got the number 1 olfactory, number 2 for optic, 3 is oculomotor. The word oculomotor just means eye mover, right? So eye mover is going to, we'll put that up here, we'll put that above, so that'll be our eyebrows, right? It'll kind of be above the eye area, right? So we've got olfactory, optic, and oculomotor. So number 4 being the trochlear nerve. Trochlear, trochlear means pulley, and it's a nerve that innervates a muscle that helps to move the eye, right? So number 4 is going to be one of our tears. Okay, see how this is starting to represent the face of our frantic sports fan over here, right? So olfactory, optic, oculomotor, and number 4 is trochlear for one of his tears because they're associated with the eyes. Number 5, the trigeminal nerve. The interesting thing about the trigeminal nerve is that it has 3 major branches that supply sensory fibers to the face, right? So it kind of supplies the whole face. So if we do a number 5 like this, there we go. So there's our number 5 because our trigeminal nerve innervates the majority of our face. Number 6 being the abducens nerve controls extrinsic eye muscles that abduct the eye laterally, right? So it turns it laterally so it abducts the eye. So number 6 we're going to put right up here beside the eyes because it's helping to abduct the eye laterally, okay? So there's our number 6. Number 7 is the facial nerve, and it's a large nerve that innervates all the muscles of facial expression. So if we use the number 7 to kind of represent the whole face, and we'll do 2 number 7s kind of back to back that represent the whole face, okay? So number 8 is the vestibulocochlear nerve, and it's the nerve for hearing. It was formerly called the auditory nerve. So if we take numbers 8s and we put them where the ears would be because it's an auditory nerve, and that represents the ears. All right. Number 9 is our glossopharyngeal nerve, and the word glossopharyngeal can be broken down to mean tongue and pharynx. So if we give our guy a tongue here, just like our frantic sports fan has, we'll put a number 9 on his tongue, and that's the glossopharyngeal nerve. Number 10 is the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is the only cranial nerve that extends beyond the head and neck to the thorax and the abdomen. So number 10 goes down here, and you see on our frantic sports fan that it's on the jersey because, like I said, it extends beyond the head and neck. Number 11 is the accessory nerve that supplies the large muscles that involve head and neck movement, like the trapezius and the sternocleidomastoid muscles. So we draw those here on the shoulder, right? So there's our 11. And number 12 is the hypoglossal nerve, which, if we break that word down, means below the tongue. So that nerve runs inferior to the tongue, but it also innervates the lower tongue muscles. So we'll put the number 12 here on the bottom of the tongue because it's kind of under the tongue. So there we go. So hopefully that helps tie things together, and maybe it gives you some visual things to look at when studying the 12 cranial nerves. And there we go.